Hi everyone, it's Michael, and I did want to provide a quick update on my Orchid Flask seedlings. Now, you can see already that these are not doing so hot. So I'm gonna do what I've actually been doing a lot of lately, which is start in the present and then work my way backwards. So I will show you the packing process of how I packed these up, how I shipped them. They arrived in pretty decent condition, not a huge or significant change, but they have been trending downward and downward ever since I got to California. But as unhappy as this makes me, I am happy to say that I feel pretty confident that I understand exactly what's going on. Look at all this mineral buildup on these pellets. It's a lot, right? Well, these orchids came from the same batch as these orchids. And you can tell these seedlings are doing much, much better. So this is my Encyclia Tampensis here. And this is my Encyclia Tampensis Alba crossed with the Epidendrum Magnoliae. Now, these ones are doing much better than these ones for a reason. And I think that reason is the quality of our tap water. And this white buildup and this issue is something that I'm actually experiencing with a lot of my orchids at this moment. And the concentration of dissolved solids in my tap water is so significant that even flushing, oh no, do you guys hear all those horns? There's been parades going up and down these streets for a while. It's super obnoxious. But this has been building up because the total dissolved solids in my tap water is so high. So just to give you guys a snapshot, I have some of the tap water right here. I've got a TDS meter, and I just want to show you exactly what's going on. I've got a reading of 0. Now let's check this out. 431, 428, 422. The total dissolved solids in here is super high, you guys. So even though I'm not watering with the tap water, I am flushing these with tap water. And the flush is super imperative for these baby orchids. So I think the concentration of mineral content, even in the flushing water, has actually really adversely impacted them. Because I've been using distilled water to fill the reservoir from which they're drinking from, but that still doesn't seem to be enough to resolve what's going on here. Now, I have these as kind of an accidental control because I have been flushing these with distilled water. The containers are small enough that I can do that comfortably. And you can see that they are having a much different experience. So I think that's what's happening. But let's go back. I'll show you what the packing process looked like so you can see what they looked like before. I don't know how optimistic I am that these guys are gonna make it. I actually don't really think they will. Oh my goodness, stop with the honking. But I'll just let you guys see the before and generate your own opinion. As I've promised everyone, I wanted to talk through my orchid flasks. So as we come in closer, you can see they are all doing fantastic. Now there has been some die-off, but it's been few and far between. I have been so pleasantly surprised and impressed that they've been doing this well. And this is kind of what the die-off looks like. Some of them, when they aren't well equipped, they tend to just kind of shrivel up and die. But conversely, a lot of them are doing fantastic. Like if you take a look at this one, as we trace its root system, you can see the green root tips. So everything's doing really well, but now I'm in the unique position of moving. So I don't know how these are going to do. I don't know how orchid flasks will fare through a transition like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unpot everything. And I'm going to, you may recognize these, this is actually how I had them potted at the very onset of when I received them. What I'm going to do to ensure that they have at least some humidity for their journey, because I will be shipping these, I'm going to take a damp paper towel, well actually damp paper towels for both of them, wring them out so there's just a little bit of moisture in them and place it at the very bottom. Then I'm gonna layer packing peanuts on top of it. I'm gonna take all of the orchid seedlings out of the leca, place them on top of the packing peanuts, then do another layer of packing peanuts and seal them off with the lid. Now you may remember the lid does have this function right here, so I can allow some aeration to be flowing through the top and some air to be flowing through the drainage holes that I created to begin with. So then I'm gonna box them up and fill packing peanuts all around. That's kind of my game plan. I don't know how it's gonna go. It is highly experimental, but at least it'll give you a snapshot of what I'm doing. So as I promised, I have these 2 damp paper towels. Now you'll see they're just slightly damp. They are not dripping, they're not going anywhere. So this is just, again, to create some gentle ambient humidity for the journey so that these little babies don't dry out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place them at the very bottom of these containers. So that's just going to be a nice source of moisture. Now I'm going to take some packing peanuts and just put them right on top of this. The great thing about using packing peanuts is that they're not super absorbent, so they're not gonna compete for moisture, they're not gonna wick moisture away. They're just gonna kind of coexist alongside the moisture of the paper towel. All right, so now we'll go ahead and start. I'll only show you on one of them so you can get a general snapshot of what I'm doing. But I'm gonna start with the Encyclia Tampensis, and I'm just going to lift it up and gently remove each of the orchid plants. Now, if it grips any of the leca, which I'm not sure it will, I'm not gonna fight it. You can see that one is holding on to just one piece of leca where it has some new root growth. I'm not gonna wrestle it away because that'll damage the orchid. And then I'm just gonna place it very gently right on top. So I'm gonna continue with this process for all of the plants. So if you take a look here, I have completely removed all of the Encyclia Tampensis seedlings. They are just resting right on top of those packing peanuts. I've pulled all of the dead and decaying matter or any of the baby plantlets that have died off, and I've removed them from the equation. So I'm just gonna go ahead and discard that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to put a gentle layer of packing peanuts right on top. So, just like so, just to kind of make sure that they don't wiggle around too much, that they don't get damaged in transit, that they're not bouncing around. And now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and take my lid, make sure that I'm not gonna pinch any of the leaves. And there we go. I have a sturdy, travel-proof, and slightly humid environment for these to transition from Colorado to California. Now I'm gonna repeat that entire process with my Epidendrum Magnoliae crossed with the Encyclia Tampensis Alba. I'm gonna go through it with this guy here, and then I'm gonna box them up just like I did with my other orchids. If you guys haven't seen my packing and shipping my orchid collection video, I'll link it below. But I'm gonna send them off just like that, and that'll be the end of this chapter. So that was what the process of getting them here looked like. They took 6 days to arrive. I unpacked them and repotted them just as they were before. And this is the outcome. All right, my friends, so here we are a month after the move, and I wanted to give you a quick update on how the Orchid Flask fared, and as you can see, it's a pretty grim sight. So, as I mentioned, you can see, look at all that white buildup. The orchid seedlings died off really, really quickly because of what I believe is the high concentration of mineral content in the water. Like I said, the average TDS for my tap water here is 473, and I just could not keep up with watering these with purely distilled water. It was just, it takes so much to water these. Now you can see there's a couple that are just hanging on for dear life, and I'm hoping to save those soon. And I'll show you what I have transitioned the hardiest of these little baby orchids to. So poor Justin, I have practically been force feeding him this wee yogurt from Yoplait. No, this one has not been sitting out. I took it out for the purposes of the video. But they make the perfect little orchid seedling containers. I just drill one little hole in it, and it's, I don't know, I think they're like adorable. It's like irrational how cute I think this is. But moral of the story is, the ones that were hardier and the ones that were looking like they could give a fighting chance towards survival, I transitioned to this grow method because look, this is the original one and look how well it's doing. It's still struggling with that mineral buildup, but as soon as I discovered it, I was able, because it's such a smaller container, to transition to using just the filtered zero water in this guy, which has taken the edge off significantly, I believe. So this was the Encyclia Tampensis, but the same thing applies up here for the Epidendrum Magnoliae Encyclia Tampensis Alba hybrid. Look at the original one, look how well it's doing, and then these are all the ones that I was able to save. So from this point forward, when I refer to the Orchid Flasks, this is what I'm going to be talking about, because this system is no longer going to be in effect. But if I've managed to salvage 5 of these and 5 of these, I'll feel very, very happy with my results. Because putting things in context, you guys, this is my very first orchid flask I've ever tried to grow. I'm impressed that the ones that I grew this way have grown as well as they have. But also they've survived me being a first-time orchid flask grower, and they've also survived a really big transition, and they've also survived a really intense swing in water TDS. So all things considered, if I can save 5 and 5, I'll be happy. So I hope this has answered any questions you may have had. I hope that this has satisfied your desire for an update on the orchid flasks. If you have any questions, concerns, or feedback, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to click subscribe and have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye guys.